even you look at the dust too. Like Donk gets 4 kills on Deagle,
Oh,
going up short,
yeah.
and they lose that round gathering up AWP and rifle when 2 guys coming short. Like, unbelievable. It's unbelievable they lose that round. No, I'm still thinking about that Apex. The best one he said is like, you were spotted. Even my mom was at B. Like, that is so good.
Icy's inconsistency is what will stop them from being a top team. He's quite quiet, he's quite reserved, but I feel like if he can get going sometimes, then the potential for him is really big. Like, there is a reason a lot of players in tier 2 of the CIS scene were like hyping him up, talking about him for so long. He just needs to grow and learn a bit more, because he's still sometimes, I'd say, like timid in how he plays the game.
Ropz is looking so much better right now. Like, just a couple of weeks after the first event.
Yep.
You can see them meshing. It seems like he's more comfortable. He knows when to, hold the space, when to push for an entry. I think, just watching him throughout the tournament, he was a beast. And it's so annoying. He's such an annoying player. Like, because he doesn't give you anything. Like, he doesn't give you anything.
All right, we're back for another episode. It is the 12th of February, 2025. I'm home. Devilwalks home. It's 11:42, nearly 43 for me. That means it's 10:43 for you in the morning. Nice and early as we do this, because, well, tomorrow I'm off to Cluj. No, today I'm off to Cluj. I'm driving in a few hours. It's crazy. It feels like this episode was ages ago, but it was, what, a week and a half ago, maybe the last one?
Yeah, but also adding up a couple of days. We wanted to do this recording like, 2-3 days earlier, just to get everything sorted. Especially with the Katowice ending and a new tournament starting up, so you wouldn't have to stress recording an episode and taking the train.
Still have to stress.
Yeah, but we're back. We're here. What have you been doing other than Counter-Strike in the past couple of days then?
Bro, obviously I didn't work the playoffs of Katowice. That was sad.
Yeah.
I thought it would be more sad not being hired for the playoffs and just doing the bits I did for B Stream. Actually, it was okay because I got to spend some time with a new sponsor of mine, personal sponsor. Don't need to plug that here, but it was just like, they kept me. I was in the arena. I met lots of cool fans. It was pretty tough being a Na'Vi fan and sitting in the arena watching Na'Vi games. It's much easier when you're working the show because you just think about your job. When I'm sat here and I was in the arena, I'm like punching the air and cheering. There's other fans around me, and then I'm fucking crying in the club as well when they got destroyed in the end. They couldn't even win that overtime game against Spirit. Oh man. But I actually had a fun time. And then I didn't stay for the grand final because I needed to come back to Ukraine and do documents. Obviously, because of the war, it's a little bit hard to do documents. So I came back home for 5 or 6 hours. I then took a train to Kiev for 12 hours. Then I did my documents. Then I took another train back home from Kiev. And now I'm home I got here at 7:30 this morning. By the time we finish this podcast, I'll then need to drive. And then I'm driving to Cluj. So yeah, mine's, at least I'm healthy now. I'm coughing still.
Yeah.
I'm coughing, but I'm not sick. But you somehow got sick through the microphone. Like, this is impossible, by the
These
way.
beacon mics are too good, man. They're too good.
Yeah, we just
transmitting more than just sound.
just spreading.
No, but
the badness.
I've been sick for around right after we started recording the last episode. I got sick. I got this thing in my eye at the same time. So I've just been home chilling. I've learned how bad I am at cooking through. I was peeling some potatoes and I just accidentally like cut off the skin on my thumb.
Oh, nice, smooth.
Yeah, and I didn't notice until I started eating.
Mouse hand?
No, it was the keyboard.
Okay.
It's like,
that's okay then.
Yeah, it was fine. It's just annoying that it's just at the bend of the thumb. But
oh wow! So every time you move your hand, you feel it.
Yeah.
Oh,
but
tough.
It's not too bad. It's not too bad. And other than that, I've dwelled into another game a little bit with a good friend of mine, Michael Lele. We've been grinding Age of Empires 4.
What?
Yeah, it's just sometimes you just need another game to just kind of chill at night. So we've been
Yep.
playing 2v2s in Age of Empire 4. It's been a blast, honestly. But
Are you
yeah,
playing like ranked? Is it competitive?
yeah, we're playing ranked, man.
Oh
This is
my
no
god.
joke.
I can just imagine you guys trying to come to each other of like what you're doing, what fight you're gonna take. We should stream this.
I mean, there's a lot of like cheese strats in that game, right? So a lot of the time, one of us gets cheesed by both of the other players, right? So we're panicking like, "They're coming to help me! They're coming!"
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh,
But yeah,
dude.
it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
All right. Well, it's episode 3. We have done a pretty damn good job of keeping this going for the podcast. I hope everyone who has been watching is enjoying it so far. There's so much to talk about because a lot is happening at the beginning of the year, obviously, with all the new changes and things. But I guess the first thing we should do is just take a look through Katowice because obviously Katowice not only was huge, but it was, I guess, a good showing from a lot of the new teams. I want to be able to kind of rate these teams with you a little bit.
Yeah.
Where do we want to start with this? Let me bring this up.
I mean, we can go into a little bit of where we kind of ended. We were trying to figure out who was going to go through the play-ins to the main tournament in
Oh
last episode.
yeah.
I had a lot of hope in Pain.
I thought Payne was going to make it as well, though. I think I agreed.
Yeah, I think we both just looking at how the bounty tournament kind of ended up, and
Yeah.
Pain did not make it. Do you have the list of what we actually wrote down? Who are gonna make it,
Do
so
you know
that
what?
we can kind of compare?
We're so new to podcasting that I wish we did have this. Let me
Because
see.
that would have been cool. I'm pretty sure we had Astralis, we had Liquid. We might have thrown in a Furia there as well. We had Pain, Eternal Fire. I think we had
We definitely
Heroic
had a,
as well. But I'm pretty sure we missed like three teams, something along those lines,
let's have a look.
in the actual play in top 8.
All
Because I'm
right,
pretty sure
Katowice.
we had Heroic and Pain, at least we missed.
I'm listening back.
You're listening back live
Yeah.
on the podcast itself. It's like it's an interesting start to episode 3. So episode 3, we're just listening to episode 2, guys. That's what we're doing. But yeah, I mean, first kind of thoughts on the play-in. I think Big just absolutely
Bro, my voice sounds
smashed
so
their way
in
through.
this. All right, we'll have to just guess. Next time, guys, we're still new to this. We will write down what we put, and we will actually work out how
it
right
would
we
have been
were.
a good idea now in in retrospect.
I think, by the way, I think I had Heroic going through. I think I had Heroic.
Yeah, Heroic and
and
Pain, I'm pretty sure.
Heroic and Pain for sure. So we were wrong at least on 2.
I don't think we had 3D Max.
We didn't have Game Legion on 3D Max. We didn't have Game Legion 3D Max, so that's why we got it wrong. So we did everything else right, apart from 3D Max and Game Legion.
That sounds about right. But what was your thoughts about the play in here?
Bro, the play-in, I would say overall, was very competitive, very scary for some teams. For example, Liquid just about making it, in the last spot, 5th to 8th, where that could have really bit them in the ass because of their not going to Cluj-Napoca. So there's some things that has to be looked at there. We'll come into that a little bit later on. We are going to sort of discuss that. But I would say Game Legion, Ash continues to prove himself of what he can do with some young players and some players he picks out of like even tier 3, tier 4.
Looks like a really good squad.
Yeah,
honestly.
and
like now when they've been playing a bit in the system, they look really good.
And remember, we spoke about like what we could see maybe Rez do here. Well, he actually looks like he's in. I know they were joking saying about he's probably going to be in the better shape than he's ever seen. Like he'll hit his prime, but he's definitely better than we've seen him in the last 4 or 5 years already on this team. And when I'm speaking to him as well, by the way, he's actually like, you can see a bit more energy and a bit more bounce in him. And he's got something he's enjoying again, rather than kind of going through that NIP hell that he went through for the last however many years.
Yeah, and I mean, we've seen it in the past as well. With I'm thinking the most relevant example is Brollan, who's kind of struggling. Everyone in Sweden saying he's this big superstar. He's the best player in Sweden, and he goes to Mouse, and people are like questioning the move a little bit, like,
Yep.
and then he's just is delivering so
And
much.
smiling again. I think that was the first thing I
Yeah,
said to him. I was like, Roland, I'm seeing you smile again. What is going on?
so it's NIP is kind of the Manchester United of esports.
Oh, why'd you have to go and say that?
Oh, my girlfriend's gonna be mad at me. She's a United fan, so I'm getting
Oh,
beat up tonight. But either
good. You
way,
deserve that. You definitely
yeah,
deserve that.
I had to just throw it in there.
I guess there was no huge surprises in there, in terms of the playing. Like 3D Max obviously showed a better level than what it was expected. Game Legion was the main one. But other than that, I think everything else was pretty normal. Wildcard are still showing they're a team that has potential to
They were
compete.
so close. I feel a little
Oh,
bit bad for them, like especially that loss against Furia could have secured them that win
yeah.
instantly. Like, uh, it was a rough one, and then getting kind of I don't know what happened. They ran out of gas on Anubis because even if you look at the Liquid 13-0 on Anubis, Liquid actually got 12-0 on CT side Anubis. It wasn't T
Yeah.
side, which is
Yeah.
like more understandable. CT side is tough as hell.
But it's such a home
So,
pick map for them. Like this is probably like the not gimmicky map for Liquid, but it's a map that they can rely on even if their individuals are not there. Like someone will play well on that map.
yeah,
Someone will do very good for them. Shout out to Nerds, by the way, because this guy is still fucking so good. He's
yeah.
like he's the best signing they could have had for an upgrade over what was done with Yakinda. So I'm still putting him so highly rated in that. Then
No,
we
he
go
seems
into
to fit very well in Liquid. But
yeah,
yeah, not that many surprises. I'm a bit surprised 3D Max did so well though, but
yeah.
they had
It's
kind of an
interesting.
easy route. Is it fair to say that?
Who did they beat again? Let's have a look.
They beat FlyQuest and MIBR for the two.
Yeah, yeah. Like I wouldn't say MIBR is easy, but the way they beat MIBR made it look easy. Like this MIBR didn't show up. That Inferno game was actually insane. That should have been like I don't know. They 3D Max should have closed it out so much earlier. How
Yeah,
far were they up? Let me see. They were up 11-6, and then it went to overtime. So like it should have been a real quick smack about. And then on the
yeah.
map pick of MIBR, I guess that something happened because it's like they forgot how to play it.
But I mean, 3D Max is no. They've played Nuke for a long time. I think they've even had it as like kind of a home map at some point. So, but then
Looking
moving
into
into
this, yeah,
Katowice.
yes, stage two. Not we got. I know HTV puts it as playing, but we are told now on the broadcast that it is stage one, stage two. You just you advance to the playoffs. Is to be the key wording there.
So, which
We are
group
being
do you want
told.
to start with?
Oof. Let's start with Group A
All right.
because Group A, Virtus Pro. I'm not saying I wrote them off because I come back to I think we spoke about it before, right? Where I remember Blade saying how smart Electronic is and how good he can be. And obviously there was a point where he put Electronic as the IGL of Navi to see what he could do. I thought it's going to take more time before we see them look like this, because
Yeah.
G2 may have their problems. We saw it at Blast Bounty, but 2-1 over G2, 2-1 over Eternal Fire. Also, by the way, I think it was the Eternal Fire game, Flammus was feeling sick. So there was a lot of sickness going around, like start of the year, some sort of flu going around. It
Oh,
was,
I
it
feel them.
was, yeah, everyone's getting wrecked. I was wrecked as well. Um, but yeah, this Virtus Pro, the firepower they have, I feel like the only part I would say lets them down at the moment is Icy's inconsistency is what will stop them from being a top team. He's quite quiet, he's quite reserved, but I feel like if he can get going sometimes, then the potential for him is really big. Like there was a reason a lot of players in tier two of the CIS scene were like hyping him up, talking about him for so long. He
Yeah.
just needs to grow and learn a bit more because he's still sometimes I'd say like timid in how he plays the game. Like you can see how he plays against lesser opposition or when he's feeling it, and then you can see how like if he has an off game, it's kind of hard for him to come back into it.
Yeah, but I mean, super impressive results. I mean, beating G2, Eternal Fire, which I don't know what happened. Come on, I feel like they are so good, Eternal Fire right now. So
Yeah,
I would even rate them a bit higher than G2 right now. That win against Eternal Fire.
yeah.
Uh, and then they came up against Vitality.
That was just like for the quarter semi game though, so that's not too bad. Obviously, we now know that Vitali went on to win it, but it was a not a bad showing, but you can just see the difference between these two ton of level teams. Like VP's on the cusp of fighting for that, where Vitality were fully sending it.
Yeah, I mean, Ropz is looking so much better right now. Like just a couple of weeks after the first event,
Yep.
you can see them meshing. It seems like he's more comfortable. He knows when to, hold the space, when to push for an entry. I think, just watching him throughout the tournament, he was a beast, and it's so annoying. He's such an annoying player. Like because he doesn't give you anything. Like he doesn't give you anything. Like you want to punish him. He's alone. He's covering a whole, area of the map for Vitality, and he's just so sneaky, and
Do
he
you know what?
always
I'm going
finds
to ask you to play a
impact through
game.
this.
I'm going to ask you to play a game. Next game you watch of Rob's, do this thing that I do, and it's called look for the lazy peak. So you know everyone talks about how like robotic he can be, and he will check every corner, right? Like he's got like a system in his head. Check this spot, check this spot, check this
Yeah.
spot, and he clears it all correctly. So during a game, I try to count how many times he might not check a corner. And like sometimes I've counted that there's like 3 times he doesn't check a corner in a whole game.
And that's
That's
probably even
wild.
based on the info that he
Yeah,
has all the
exactly.
information.
He's
You
like,
know,
he's like,
like
he's like, they're definitely not here. They're all downstairs. So I'm not going to check this. No, I
yeah.
kind of look at it like if he's on his own or if he's in a situation he's wanting to check everything. I'm just looking at this. I would dream to have that kind of movement and skill. But yeah, dude, he
But also
and
the amount of focus it requires, because he's
yeah,
ready to pop heads
every
every
time.
single
Mm,
second of the round. There is not
yeah.
a single moment he just fucking relaxes and just chills down and like starts thinking, "Oh, should I this smoke?" Like there's nothing. There's no
No.
opening. So incredibly, powerful duo Saivu and Ropta's gonna be for the remainder of 2025. I think they
We'll come on to that when we
might
get to the playoffs.
parallel
We
them. Yeah.
because I got so
It
much for you on that, bro. I got
yeah.
so much for you on that. We looking down the other games in here, that G2 Falcons game, fucking hell, man. There was a lot in that game. I think I'm still very worried about this G2. Give them more time. Yes, sure. But like it's not pretty, you know?
No,
It's still a bit messy. Better T sides. People keep hating on snacks, but it was better T sides. There just seems to be that lack of a voice from Nico, and also Malv's now getting comfortable at calling more of what he wants. Because before, right, what he was doing was, I guess, following the information given to him. Yeah. Now he's got to say, I want this, let's do this. And then maybe not every time he hasn't got the experience like Nico has, right? To make the same play and call the same thing and have that confidence in it.
but
So he's kind of learning again.
yeah, and I know like players sometimes they get into this, like they can be when they're in a good mood, everything is fine, everything just kind of rolls on, and you do that from practice, and it's like, yeah, this is working really, really well, and then all of a sudden a bus drives over your head, and nothing is working, and you
Yeah.
still have that responsibility to kind of, okay, what do we need to do? Are we gonna
Yeah.
push apps, this, or jump, or go aggressive? Find a timing with flashes. You constantly need to keep that pressure up, because there's very few teams in Counter Strike that can just sit back, do nothing, and let the opponent control the map. Like very, very few teams are good at
Yeah.
that in any scenario, because Number one, no one's going to make any mistake. Everyone's going to be Ropz unless they get pressured, right? But
Yeah.
essentially,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
how it's
yeah, yeah.
gonna be, because if there's no pressure, there's no way to make a mistake. If you pressure your opponent, that's when mistakes are gonna come out. That's when
Yep.
someone like Ice is gonna be feel more scared the next round, or kind of draw themselves back. So you really need that, especially in like a G2 squad right now, where if they don't find this aggression and the pressure put on the opponents,
Mhm.
um, they're gonna be less stable because they're new. They have new roles. They have
Yeah.
they need that in the game instantly to kind of relieve themselves of the pressure.
I'm gonna touch on big quickly, by the way, because they took that map off
Yeah,
phase, which I think was good. It was respectable, especially considering it was Mirage, where Ancient's been so good for big. I actually thought that would be, if any map they would get it. Hyped for me right now is still such a upgrade from Sirison,
yeah.
such a positive, different. Like, he's a much more aggressive player. He'll take some risks, but he's like calculated risks as well. I like what I'm seeing from him. Um, I wouldn't say like them going out, like it's obviously a map from phase, but then going out 0-2 to 3D Max. I did the exit interview with Tabson. He was very honest with it. He still thinks like this is good. They made it through to the second stage. He's feeling pretty comfortable about the team. But I would have liked to see them challenge 3D Max a bit more or go a step further. I feel like we didn't see enough of the ceiling from them. And I will say, when they were going up against 3D Max, obviously Gravity, this young French kid,
Yeah.
he's very loud. He's shouting and screaming at him and giving it. Um, Obviously, when Big had Rig on, you could rely on him to be someone like that. But like, there's not really the hype person on Big as much anymore. It's fine when they're
They're
having
they're
rounds and going
they're
between each other.
very young squad. I mean, they're definitely like aiming for the future with this big squad. With Tabs and leading.
Yeah,
Um, and it seems like Big kind of need hype to have this amazing performance right now to kind of carry
for
them.
sure.
But I agree that you don't really have, like, if you look at the next game for 3D Max, like an Apex that kind of, there are some famous clips on Reddit of
Look,
some
the
back and
translations
forth
were
there.
funny as hell, man.
They are so good, man. But either way, yeah, I agree. They don't really have that loud person to kind of shut the opponent down, or but
That that trash
sometimes
talking though.
it's not always needed though. You can be this, like, let's shut him up with winning rounds in game.
Yeah,
There's other ways to deal with it. You don't always have to throw back and forth outside the PC. But if there are people that are affected by it, if
then it
gravity
becomes a
hits,
problem.
because you can obviously see that Hyped had a terrible game against 3D Max compared to what he's been performing for the other,
Yeah.
you know tournaments. He's been the top performer by far in the
Mhm.
wins. So maybe they hit a little bit of a nerve there.
I do love this trash talking though, by the way. That's one thing that's beautiful about Katowice, the setup where they're playing face to face, across the frosted grass. Um, I will say that some people are like, "Oh, it has no place in here." Dude, give me more of that WWE, some entertainment. They are still all friends. Everyone's friends afterwards. Buddy Carrigan was even shouting German at Big during his game, and everyone loves
Yeah,
Carrigan.
yeah.
So it's like, do it as long as there's respect at the end and everyone's fine. They don't hate each other, but it's like it's part of the mental game. I'm all here for it.
Yeah.
I want to see more of it. Don't people complaining about that? Go to fucking Valorant or something, Go and play the child's game. They don't allow that stuff. They ban you and
Yeah,
you end your career. But in CS, we enjoy it. It's good fun. Let it have there. Obviously, everyone knows the boundaries, and I think there's no problem with it at all.
no, I'm still thinking about that Apex. The best one he said is like, "You were spotted. Even my mom was at B." Like, that is so good.
But Apex is from that old school generation, right? Where like
Yeah.
in those French lands, in the BOOC events, that's what they were doing the whole time.
That is
You know
such
what?
a
It
good
just sounds
comment.
so good in French as well. It sounds so good in French.
Oh
Oh my
man,
god.
I
Uh,
loved it.
the last game to touch on within Group A, I don't want to spend too much more time on this because we've got to go through playoffs as
Ah,
well. the
Yeah.
Eternal Fire game against FaZe. So Anubis, 13-4. Now, this was ridiculous from Eternal Fire because they got to start off on T side on their pick. Yeah. It's
Oh,
their
so
pick, and they were
Phase
allowed to
shows
start T
seating.
side. Yeah. I didn't do the game. I didn't cover that game. It wasn't on my stream. So I don't know. Maybe someone else, maybe one of the interviewers asked why he like Carrigan chose that. But like that's
I mean,
obviously a bit of a
usually
mis
it's just like, do you want to start tier city? Like, okay. Some players just want city no matter what.
Yeah, but
Like, it
Eternal
doesn't
Fire
even
Anubis
matter.
is good, bro. And like people say, actually, a lot of Eternal Fires Anubis, when you look at it, is the CT sides is what's bailed them out, even if they have a bad T side. But it's like giving them T side first. You're putting the AKs on Taurus's hand first. Like, whoa, I'm not
Like,
sure, man.
personally, I think it's like it's almost easier for if you're a caller, for example. I
Yeah,
understand other players like starting CT, but for a caller, I feel like you have a game plan that you're more responsible for on the T side.
yeah.
And just running that through and letting that go of your head, so you can only focus on individual or more individual stuff on the CT side, not having this like kind of backlogged in your head
Hmm.
in terms of game plan is such an advantage. Like I swear IGLs would be a lot better if they like stats wise if they just started on T side, let that shit
Oh, wait a
go,
sec.
and then
I'm
went
so glad you're
CT.
saying this. Listen to this. Just go on Anubis now and just look at this. Anubis Madger went 20 for 8. He had some sort
Yeah,
of fucking crazy life game. Now, I literally tweeted at the time, I was like, Madger, 33-year-old young talent. Because whatever was happening, he could do whatever he wanted. Remember, there's a Liege, Frozen, Brokey, all on the other side of this. Now, Nuke, obviously, we got that insane. How many overtimes was it at the end? It was a
I
whole
missed.
other map of overtimes. So
Yeah,
what was it? Let's see. It was 13-10 in overtime.
13-10, and then
Bro, that's 12-12 to
12,
13-10. It was a
13, 10.
whole other map. 12-12, 13-10.
And it went just yeah, it went crazy until they could actually get that 3-0. It was
Oh,
just back and forth. And Nuke is such a weird map to play this many overtimes on because like it feels like you just have to get something random going after a while, and it's not an easy map to just do something random to break patterns. Like it's incredibly difficult,
but
and
isn't that
it
the real
becomes
test of the
messy.
IGLs? Isn't that like the perfect mind games that you want to go into?
Well,
It's not
yes
pretty
and
CS,
no,
but it's
because
entertaining.
it is really messy. And I mean, starting like T lobby and stuff like that, it all depends on how much yard control you can actually gain on the T side. But yeah, I think it's an incredibly messy map to call in overtime when the game plan is kind of just thrown out of the and you just have to make one on the spot based on the rounds that you've seen.
Yeah.
Um, it's much easier to do it on like a Mirage or something like that, where individual decision making can kind of factor into winning rounds a lot more than on
Yeah.
Nuke.
Going on to Group B, let's start looking at that. I'm trying to go through this one a bit quicker.
Yeah,
Spirit over Astralis 2-0. No real surprises there. I still think Astralis is kind of eh. I think actually that's so. Let's just look at this, right? Spirit, they do go through in the end, but have to do the kind of lower bracket run after Navi beat them. That Navi game, by the way, finally Navi beating Spirit was really good to see, but like that took a lot from Navi in order to be able to finally do it. Obviously, it doesn't help them when they got to the playoff side. Then they got the semi-final spot Navi by kind of walking over Mongols. It looked very comfortable for them. I don't think they had any problems there. Maus, we can just ignore because they had Zelix coming in from the academy team, NXT, and Froland's just brand new in-game leading. So I'm not going to judge him at all now. I'm going to really look at him at Cluj.
yeah.
Just for this as well, for everyone to note, Maus stayed in Katowice after they were eliminated. Spinks was there. They stayed in the hotel and they boot camped all this time until Cluj. So as soon as the tournament was done, Spinks was there. Whole team was together. They've been on the grind. so they didn't miss a beat once they were eliminated from the tournament. And
That's
obviously, they
good.
have to be careful because they can lose so many VRS points from all of this. Um, who else is here? Furia losing to Navi, nothing wrong with that. Didn't really challenge though. I think this was 13-5, 13-3 was kind of rough.
Yeah. Mongols beating Liquid.
I think that's legit though. I think
Yeah.
I put Mongols winning that
Yeah.
because I thought if anything, the only time Liquid could win something here was if they had a chance on getting Nuke, yeah, and they did. And then after that, I was like, I don't know where you go because you don't have Anubis in here. Mongols has
But
removed
I'm
it.
loving 910 and Mauzinho, man. They are so good.
Oh, Mazzinho
Yeah.
not only, by the way, I messaged him on Instagram to tell him to try and give him some more confidence with this. I said, dude, you're doing so at first he didn't want to do interviews, right? It was only techno. We only ever did techno. And then I
Yeah.
messaged Mazzinho and I'm like, dude, thank you so much that you're now trying to do the interviews. You're talking more, you're giving some personality, he does these cool things with his hands, and like when he's getting good clutches. This is a young, let me just check. Is he still 17 or did he become 18 yet? Still 17, right? He is just enjoying the game. He like tries with his English. He's doing
But he's so
content.
cute, man.
He
He's so cute.
yeah.
I swear. I look at him. He's so cute. I love it.
He's the best, man. He is the best. Oh, the yeah.
But I'm enjoying I mean Mongols a lot. I kind of have a sweet spot for this like Eternal Fire Mongols kind of one country teams.
the
Um,
Nationals.
yeah, definitely. So enjoying watching them. I think they're improving every tournament. Every time I watch them, they seem to just have a deeper understanding of what they need to do, faster at adapting when it doesn't work. So I'm looking forward to seeing them throughout the year.
I think obviously Liquid beating Mouse was expected, then getting rolled over by Spirit. That kind of I expected as well. Like
Yeah.
actually, Liquid got more rounds than I thought they would, but the individual like Nerds was feeling super sick. There was a thing here that people need to know that it was that competitive in a game. It was may have been a 2-0. If you look at the score lines, it was still competitive when Nerds had a high fever and they were even thinking about subbing him out and letting Mifar play. Like he got that bad. Like mid game, he might have had to change. So I'm not going to hold too much against Liquid.
That was a
Um,
respectable game from them, honestly.
yeah, considering who they're going up against. Astralis, by the way, lots of people I saw just thinking, oh, this is where Game Legion will lose. I openly predicted Game Legion. I put 2-1 down on my prediction.
But don't you think
I
like
didn't think
both Astralis and Furia are kind of meh?
yeah, but basically at the moment, these two teams, like I think it was Hugo and Harry, maybe I was talking about this with, where we were talking about like Furia have K Serato, one of the best riflers in Brazil. It's like CT side, he's beat Anchor. Not even be short, he's beat Anchor. I don't
It's
want to see
crazy.
that. I want to see him fighting in middle, fight connector, fight. I don't know, man. Just get out there, be in the action. I don't need him to be the anchor. No way.
No, I think that's probably a mistake. But I mean, there's so much things in Counter Strike. Sometimes your best player is it's just not, I don't know, as communicative as you want in middle or stuff like
Yeah.
that, or throws the right nades to support the other guy, so he gets like overwhelmingly amounts of frags compared to the. Because I mean, the con guy needs to help the short guy as well as the short guy needs to help the con guy in some way, and
So you
that
need
can
him to have
be,
good synergy, you're trying to say.
yeah, and that can be, it's so timing based
Still,
because the
man.
keys kind of own it.
I just want so much more of a K Serato. Like
Yeah, I
you've
get
said
it.
you want to stay in Furia, and we know how good he can be. But like, let me at least see how good you're gonna be, please.
But they could at least run him as a B anchor, but like let him have the freedom to, if he has spawns, to jump underground, do these kinds of plays, and kind of play this like free for all, like even take A space if he wants to, because
Yeah,
he's really good at that. He's really good at the multi fragging in these
exactly.
positions. So why not?
That's my point. That is my point. Um, but yeah, both Astralis and Furia was just like who's going to lose first. Obviously, Astralis won the first game, and then it's just the way Game of Legion beat Astralis. Like, I did the interview with Cadian, the exit, and he was like, "What am I supposed to do when like our core riflers, we're just like none of us are fragging?" He goes, "It's not so much about like the setup or the system." And I said, "Fair enough, but like this was bad. Like this is really bad because this is now you had them in World Final where they looked better. Then Device misses the major. Now he's back. You had Blast Bounty, cool, but now you're at Katowice. I didn't expect them to make playoffs. I just expected them to look better than what I saw. But I also feel like I'm putting them quite high up on my estimations when I'm looking at the names. And I still think this is just personal, like without looking too much at the individuals. I still think they have players who choke in the important moments. Like right now, for me, Device and Stare are the best players on that team when it should be Device, Down, and Jabby, right?
Yeah.
Like Stare's in the support role. Like he should not be the one who's looking the best at times. So yeah, it's still so messy.
Yeah, and the Cadian rifle situation is kind of still
Yeah, kind of meh.
sorry, relevant. But yeah, and then Gamer Legion actually taking one map out of Spirit. I watched that one. I was
Bro,
impressed.
they
But
they were
then
so hyped after that as well, man. I think they actually believed. I think they really did believe.
and then they got absolutely smacked.
Did you hear what Dog said about Anubis? He's like, "Shit, man,
Yeah, yeah,
remove
yeah.
this map." And
Actually,
I'm like,
I sent that clip to Michael Lele because he's a avid Anubis hater. So
yeah, but like, I don't think Anubis is that bad of a map.
no,
It
no,
might need one or two changes, but I remember a lot of games where Donk would dominate on this map.
yeah, especially early on when he was coming up,
Yeah.
he used to absolutely destroy people on that map, just rushing into B and stuff. But I know that, like for me, I look at the Nubis and
Yeah.
I see it. It's probably the best map that has come from Valve in terms of
Okay.
like a new map. You know,
I wonder where you were going there. My mouth was wide open, like, huh? Yeah, I see what you
so
mean.
I'm not saying it's the best map. I'm just saying out of all the new introduced maps, I think it's the best map.
Okay.
So like it's
Better than
vertigo.
Ancient.
Yeah, I think Ancient has actually over time become more stale and worse. Because I don't see any. It stopped developing for me, if that makes sense. I think it's so much about just B popping and mid control constantly, and it hasn't really gotten to that moment where I feel like you can do a lot on it. I feel like it's just redoing the same things all the
Mhm.
time. Uh,
Even with
whilst
like this, I know it's a while ago, but even when the spawn changes came in, you don't feel like that refreshed it enough to be making it more competitive.
I mean, it's still a competitive map. I just find it a little bit boring to watch,
Mm.
if that makes sense. You know, like
I love playing it. I'll be honest. I can kind of see what you mean about like watching it's not so good, but I just remember a lot of great games on Ancient, which is like makes my love towards it more. You know, when I remember games that stick out in my mind, I'm like, okay, this is a good map.
but it's just like for me, it's just okay. Tease enter banana, get mollied naded, or they rush into cave instantly before people go up heaven. So
Yeah,
I, like I, I feel like that just happens every single round. Like every
yeah,
single round. It's not like an inferno. You can go aggressive banana, you kind of meet it, play in the smoke, make flash plays and all that kind of stuff. But I feel like it's not happening in the same degree on ancient, where I also feel like T's can't ignore banana completely,
no,
which you can on inferno and retake it later. But I feel like the retake on ancient's a bit too risky.
yeah, because I guess you can always
So
get taken by cave as
It's
well, right?
it's just my head watching the map. I don't.
Yeah.
It doesn't excite me as much as it used to.
Well, do you know what baby was okay? The playoff bracket, right? If you want to talk about excitement, I saw a
Yeah,
lot of people complaining that like there was no three mappers. The grand finals is 3-0, but like it broke some viewership records for a non-major Counter Strike event. Um, the crowd was pretty damn good. I think on the first days it was more quiet than what I expected, but
yeah.
like Semi-finals when I was there, and then grand final when I was watching from home. It seemed on fire. It was great. Um, I think the game I expected more from, like, Virtus Pro, they couldn't use Flammers. So they obviously, this is what's crazy. So Flammer's visa runs out, and then they've made playoffs. It makes me think that they did not expect to make playoffs, you know? Like
It looks like that, but I'm pretty
they were
sure you
like
can't. I'm pretty
they
sure
were
you can't just reinstate a new visa while
no,
having
he has to go out, right? But he has to
yeah.
expire before he can do it, which is true. You're correct on. But I just think it's funny as fuck. It's like, yeah, this probably won't be a problem. We're a new team. You make
Ah.
playoffs, you're like, ah, shit, what happened? Like, it's great we made playoffs, but oh shit, we don't have him. Because like he was in the hotel until like the very last day when he had to leave. And I'm just like, I'm so confused because I'm thinking I actually would have liked to see VP Spirit with the full team.
Yeah.
I don't think it would have changed too much. Obviously, Spirit on paper is still a better team, but like the fact we got to see Train in there, which obviously VP is liking, um, it was a fun one if they'd had the full roster.
Yeah. Uh, and then you had Vitality. Did we cover
No, you
Mongols
didn't
Eternal
come. No,
Fire?
no, I skipped the first one. My bad. Mongols Eternal Fire was actually, I feel like, Woxic, by the way, he seems, if in, and people can happily correct me if I'm wrong, he seems like a player where his high is so high, but his low is maybe down to how comfortable he feels on the day or what's going on. Because I think they
I
had
think
like a
he's always been that type of player though. Like he's always had this like either he's the best player in the world or
yeah.
he's actually quite like I would bad is the wrong word, but
No,
he's
he's never
definitely
bad. It's just
struggling
hmm
to a large degree because I feel like he plays this like very high sense.
yeah,
You can see like when he's confident, he's just flicking and almost look Monacy like, right?
yeah,
And then when he's struggling, you see he's shaking with his aim a little bit.
yeah.
That's the feeling I get.
Like he's not
Uh,
sure in the movie he's gonna make.
yeah, like either he's communicating too much while he's going in for moves, so he's not like ready for the moment, or
Yeah.
there's something going on because it's night and day between you know top tier and Voxic and when he's having a bad day.
What was great about this quarterfinal matchup, though, was that both these teams, to me, are teams who need more stage experience. Now, people can talk that yes, Eternal Fire and Mongols both had like playoffs last year, but like an EPL playoff and an EPL grand final for Eternal Fire is not the same as like real stage experience. Like Mongols won Yala, yeah, and they won that Thunder Pick event, but it's very small crowds. It's not a big arena. When I'm talking about like the majors, Katowice, Cologne, World Final, Blast, Spring Finals, and Full Finals, stuff like that, they're big arenas with big crowds. Yeah.
I mean, it
And
does
both
make
these
an
teams,
impact. You're sitting there, and the
yeah,
whole stage is shaking from the noise of the audience, right? You die,
yeah.
and the whole crowd is cheering.
It's like, oh shit, that's not good. So that
Yeah,
both these teams, they are lacking experience in this sense. We saw that come through at the major for the Mongols as well, the lack of stage experience. But I feel like Jota and Wakadia, you can give them that excuse, but the
yeah.
rest of Eternal Fire, they don't have that excuse. No excuse at all.
No, I mean Voxic is probably the one with the both Santaris, Voxic. They've been in big teams. They've been playing on this level for such a long time that yeah, they should not be choking anything. They should know what they need to do to get into presence of mind to perform at this point.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm still saying this is very positive signs for Eternal Fire. I think
Yeah,
like going through on the playoffs and being in this position, just a little bit more time, and they can still do some big damage for sure. All
I mean it's probably two of my favorite teams to watch
right.
that went up against each other.
Definitely, definitely, and obviously the bias of obviously they're all from the same country as well. It's a lovely thing. The
Yeah.
Mongolian stream, by the way, was breaking numbers and doing well at the same time. So they've got their own. They had a guy, I met him, and he's rolling through, doing like a live stream himself, um, and then covering the games. That's awesome. He's like a Mongolian fan that speaks perfect English.
Oh
Um,
wow.
They've got more of a team there now as well. I saw the manager, a content guy, and one other guy. So I'm trying to learn some more about obviously Mongols. You know, the way they work as a team, it's an organization, but they put a lot of their winnings, the prize money, also into like reinvesting in the organization to keep growing. So like they're building themselves up and they're building like their country up at the same time, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a very positive sign. I did a fun piece of content with Mazzinio where I said, who are like rising stars? Because you're so young, but is there some other stars going to come up from Mongolia? And he gave me three names that obviously I'd never heard of these guys, but I like some people he just plays Face It with and stuff. And that there's some more depth to this Mongolian scene than just these five. You know, there is potential for the future.
Yeah. And I mean, talent breed talent. So they're a very talented bunch. They shoot hard as hell.
Yeah,
So I'm sure we're gonna see more Mongolian teams challenging. We need a couple more Asian teams in general.
definitely. All right, so looking at the semis though, Spirit versus Navi. Let's start with that because it was the more interesting one. Again, it's a rematch. Now it's on the stage. Jesus Christ. Everyone was completely booing and against Spirit. I saw a lot of people complaining, but like you have to remember this. Crowds are one way or the other in many countries. Poland has a lot of Ukrainians coming there because of the war, you know, very close to us. So they're going to be majorly for Navi. When we were in China at the Shanghai Major, everyone was for Spirit.
Yeah.
They like FaZe and stuff, but Spirit were like, because of Donk, they love their superstars. Obviously, Nico and Munity as well, when they did the G2 side at the major, they were getting so much more love. Sometimes this happens. When we go to Kazakhstan later this year for PGL, I'm sure the crowd is going to be cheering non-stop for Spirit. So people complaining about like the crowd is bad and the booing and whatever. It's like this happens everywhere. Like, where else did it happen? I think it's when we did the Copenhagen major. Spirit wasn't getting booed at the Copenhagen major, but other teams were getting booed.
They
You
happened a
know?
lot in the Brazilian one as well.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, how can I forget that? Good memory. The Rio one, right? If they're
Yeah.
playing against Furia, it doesn't matter if you're Navi, FaZe, Mouse, whoever, you're getting booed. That's it. Like
It was only because they were against the Brazilians. There was no like
exactly.
hatred really towards a specific country or
No,
race or whatever.
no. But people complaining so much about that. Spirit, by the way, are the team that least care about this because they're the most booed team. They're just like they're sucking this all up, and they're like, "Fuck it, feed me," you know.
No, but I
Let me
like.
take it in.
I think Donk did an interview, and I think they played it before the final or whatever, where it was just like, let's just silence the crowd. I love that.
Yeah, that's a good attitude.
Yeah, such a big or last boss energy. Yeah, but I think going into this Navi Spirit game, I mean,
Oh.
it couldn't have started worse for Navi. Like, it legitimately couldn't have started worse. And that ace that Donk just pulled
Oh,
out it's unbelievable because he gets dinked when he's jungle,
yep.
or from the jungle guy, and he just can't hit the last couple of shots. And then he does this flick to apps where I'm not even sure I'm young enough to see the guy before he gets killed from Donk's POV. You know, it's
But do you think
so
he was just
quick.
preempting it? You know, like when you say that, do you think he just expected that push to come in?
I mean, he might have, but I'm not even sure because Donk is so quick.
It was nuts, bro. It was ridiculous because I thought, oh, that's it, the round's done, you know? And all of a sudden, Mega Band comes up and just destroys everyone, Donk in his element.
And I mean, they had such a good pistol. They did everything right, Navi. I think there's not really a mistake happening. It's just Donk being Donk
Yeah.
in terms of why they win that round. Because yeah, it's a beautiful round from Navi, like beautiful. And if you actually look at like the overall rounds of the map, that T side pistol could have turned the entire game. Like it
Yeah.
could have made it a Navi victory on Mirage. And we know Dust 2 was super close, went into overtime. But yeah, eh, I am loving Navi Spirit like kind of rivalry because all the games are actually super exciting. You have super
Delivers.
good strats from Navi. and just let's see if Donk and everyone else, can figure it out and kind of slow them down. And it's a beautiful kind of matchup to watch because it becomes messy, it becomes gritty, um, and you don't really know what to expect. Anything can happen in this kind of game. So
Yeah.
I'm loving watching this kind of rivalry develop and getting bigger and bigger.
And I think the fact that Spirit lost to them in the group stage then helps going into playing it again in the playoffs.
Yeah.
JL said in his interview with me, he's like, I want to beat Spirit on the stage. Yeah, that's where it's going to matter most. And you still couldn't do it. That Dust 2 is going to hurt as well because obviously, like, I think it was Wonderful was in that 1v2 and he just forced and took the fight onto Shiro on short. And that made it go to like 12-11. And then after that was into overtime. And it was kind of tough. Well, I'm going to get your opinion on this. A lot of people kind of point their finger at like Wonderful not being good enough to be the player this Navi needs. Obviously, they won the major with this roster and they many other tournaments as well, and they look damn good. But would that be the piece you change if you are to make a change? Like if they just continue being a playoff team and they want to go back to winning trophies? Or do you think he's the problem?
No, I don't think it's a problem. I think that maybe Wonderful has these couple of maps where he isn't delivering as big as others. Uh, b- because I mean, in general, it's a big problem if you get outperformed by the other team's upper. I mean, Shiro had, if we just look at Dust 2, he had a 132 rating, +7 KD difference, +2 in the first kills, like
Mhm.
entries. So 24-17, and Wonderful had 17-19. So he's one of the he's the second worst performer, being the upper on
Oof.
Dust 2. That's bad, you know.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
really bad. But at the same time, we can look at. I think he's a much better upper on Mirage. Now that didn't really get into play on necessarily on Mirage, but
Mhm.
I think if he needs to maybe develop the Dust 2 game a little bit more. I think a lot of people are countering, kind of the standard peaks, and finding a little bit more ways to maybe be aggressive and find picks to
Yeah.
alleviate for his squad. Be a bit more active because I feel like he can sometimes get stressed on this Dust 2 when he doesn't get these normal shots in.
Mm. His rifle though is actually really good
It's
for an
really good.
AWPer.
Yeah, it's really
Really
good.
good. I had a conversation with him in the elevator, and he was saying like sometimes I just rather rifle than the AWP there because I saw some of his rifle moments, and I just said to him, I was like, "Damn, dude, your rifle looked sharp. Like your AK was hitting." But for
But I mean,
Spirit,
I think it's also like a little bit of the matchup because Spirit, if you look at them, they barely show themselves
yeah.
a lot of the times. Like they're just holding until they get the map control they want for Donk to just go bananas, right? A
What I
lot
was
of
gonna
it is
say,
just like they smoke mid doors, they eliminate everything, they take mid on Dust 2, and they just kind of explode through mid with faking either the CT smokes, and kind of the rest are not doing that much. They're just holding.
well, do you know what was really smart from Spirit, especially I think when they were getting close to overtime and then in overtime, Chopper would like call them on CT side, like donk push mid, and he had like one player backing him up. I forget who it was. And like Navi, obviously, they play their default, they take their map control, and like both times they were not ready. Both
Yeah.
times they were mid getting their setup done, and Donk's just fighting, and
But
they
that's what's
they
so
were getting
annoying
caught
with
by
them.
it. Yeah,
Because they send out Dong to create this and kind of bait your reaction to defend it, but they're actually just defending the area. They're not
yeah,
actually looking to move out. Because I think they got caught a lot of times in on Dust 2 in
yep.
that mid section where
Mid
Donk
lower
goes
B.
out mid, yeah, and they're out mid. Donk is aiming CT. They have two players, one on short and like one on the Xbox, and they're just holding left side mid for Donk the
Mhm.
entire time. And it can sometimes they were out mid for like 20-30 seconds, and it's so stressful for you as a CT player at that point because you need like three and maybe a third rotation on the way to defend B fully, and you need four players towards A to defend it fully, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, you have to kind of go into that retake or push up spawn while the long players are fighting them before they get control of the site, which is always like a little bit Vertigo-esque in the way you like challenge on that A ramp on Vertigo. It can become so like the first kill matters a lot, and it just goes crazy after that, right?
Yeah.
So it's awkward because if you get those CT smokes out or they are out mid and you hear them stepping, they're aiming, they're challenging, you want to like at some point you want to know are they there? Are
Yeah.
they backing off? They're going short. They're so patient with it that it's almost like you have to play without information against them because it's such a risk to challenge for the space. That also means that then the next couple of rounds when they do a fast one out mid, you're not reacting because you're not close enough to actually defend that area because you don't have the information or you don't want to gamble to gain that information. So that they're super annoying to play against because of that kind of pausing system. They gain aggressive ground, pause, and just wait for your mistakes.
Yeah. They're very polarizing styles of how they play against each other, but
Yeah,
that's what makes it entertaining. That's what makes it good Counter Strike for us to watch. The other
100%.
semi-final game, right? Vitality Mongols. This one was, I think there was a small chance for the Mongols on Mirage, despite Mirage being the lesser scored game in there. If we're looking at the numbers, I feel like that's where they had the most chance in it. And then I'd say Vitality just obviously showed that they're the better team, but like this was where you were speaking about it. Zyru Ropz combo was really heating up on the stage in the
Yeah,
moments. I saw some like just the 1v2s. Oh, sorry, 2v4s, 2v3s, and it's like Zyru and Ropz left together. And I can't remember who said it. Someone, I think Apex said it in an interview that like they are already on the same page with how they want to play the game and play the situation, and that like they're just communicating without
yeah.
communicating. You know, they communicate so little, but still give so much and know how they want to play it. That's so scary for any other team, man. Because
It,
this is
it,
just the
it it
start. This
really
is just the
is.
start. Imagine being that in sync with your new player and they're both stars. It's incredible.
But I think they both are kind of these players that suit each other as well, just
Yeah.
naturally. I don't think. I think it would have been like if we just take an example of like Simple and Rops in a combo. I think that would have been a worse combo just purely on the fact of how aggressive Simple wants to be and how much faster he takes space on the map compared to a Saivu, right?
Yes.
Where
Yeah.
Saivu is more patient, more kind of methodical in the way that he creeps forward, and this is just exactly like Rops is, you know.
So it works
So
well.
if they are on different sides of the maps, they're kind of approaching the same area eventually in the same pace. So
Yep.
I think that is what makes them so good as a combo.
Dude,
But
it's funny because guess what? The Zyru said as well in another interview. He said they're like, it's so good to have Rops on my team because he fucked them in the Shanghai Major. Where was it? They played in the quarterfinals, 2-1 to
yeah,
FaZe, and Rops obviously starred out there. And he's like, I'm so glad to have like that kind of a teammate on my team now. That just says it all. If Zyru's happy to have you on the team, like,
I mean it
and
relieves some
Zyru
pressure
is,
from Saivu as well.
yeah.
Let's put it that way.
And it's the
Uh,
experience Robs brings as well. I know he's still young, but like Robs has won it all and done it all, you know, and he's still young. He's still keen to further his career in many ways, but he is a beast while doing it. And I like obviously this was a huge upgrade for Vitality, but
yeah,
also remember it cost them no money as well. They didn't have to buy him out. I'm gonna reiterate that a million times. Vitality got Robs on the transfer for free.
it's actually an insane transfer. But moving in a little bit to the game, I wanted to actually
Yeah.
touch on this because I know like I was watching this and I even tweeted a little bit about it. But I think Mongols they try to do this. So I think this is like a classical mistake I've seen from especially people that doesn't come from Europe. They're a lower tier team. They qualify to
Uh-huh.
like a big tournament. They meet a big opponent, and what they try to do is they kind of try to do this surprise factor, constantly trying to go for these all-in calls
Mm.
instead of kind of working the map. Because I think the Mongols, they're really good at kind of just creeping forward and then being explosive once they get the right areas. Um, I think they did these like they just push through the ramp mollo or smoke, try to catch. They played two on A site vitality, just try to explode. And this round was a little bit lucky because Flames got two when he was completely out in the open with an MP9.
Hmm.
But
Typical Flames.
I think if it doesn't work out, it's such a big risk because once Vitality have that money control, once they, uh, it's so much harder to get back into the game, especially with MR12.
Yeah.
So I think if they kind of just let their players get into the game a little bit, I always prefer that personally because just running, let's say, five strats in a row and then you revert into default, you have no clue. You have zero information on what or how to approach the default. So it might up
Hmm.
ending into the snowball situation where all of a sudden you default and they wreck you in the default because you have no clue what's going on. You've just been doing explodes everywhere. It's a classical trap that everyone thinks you have to surprise the bigger teams. But in reality, I think they are more ready for that than actually just playing your default game.
Yeah. Well, I like I said, I think for Mongols, like what you're saying there, they probably realizing this, they're probably watching it back afterwards and learning, and they just got to learn from more of this as they go
Yeah.
because soon enough they're not going to be underdogs. They're going to be team I expect to be in the playoffs. Like when we talk about Cluj-Napoca later, I feel like they should be a team that's going very far. They could even potentially be a team that wins it all.
Yeah,
But to
because I
round up
mean,
Kato, yeah, go.
when they started defaulting, I'm just gonna finish this point off.
Hmm.
They did get 5 rounds in a row on T side after.
Okay,
So when they went slow, they got the picks, and then they could actually run their strats a little bit more and
yeah.
be a little bit more dominant in the way they approach things, which
So
I
they'll
think
definitely
is
see
what
that.
they're good at. They're
Yeah, they'll
shooting
definitely.
so hard; they shouldn't be running all in a line. I think you use your individual skill.
Looking at
Anyways,
a lot of individual skill for the grand final. Wow. Okay, so Spirit champions of Katowice last year, back in the grand final. Vitality further than they've ever been, especially for the Apex, as I recall, right? Who have been trying to make runs. I made some tweets. Let me bring these tweets up. Apex has this going for him right
yeah, he
now.
didn't have a Katowice trophy, right?
Yeah, so his career, yeah, his first Katowice 2014, 2023, and now 2025. So three of them he'd made playoffs, only three. And yet he's had one of these very, very successful careers, but he's never even won a match in the Spodek until he went on to win it. Ropz said in an interview when joining the team, I want to help them win Katowice. Obviously, doing it this soon is crazy good. And especially the new positions that had to change. Like Ropz went into a lot of positions which Flames and Apex held off memory.
Yeah.
Flames has gone into some positions that he used to play in the past, but it's obviously a change up for him. Mezzi playing better around this as well. This was huge. And I did predict a 3-2 win for Vitality, is what I said. A lot of people were predicting Spirit. Never. I don't think anyone predicted 3-0. What the hell, man?
But it's not in the or even just a 3-0. It was never close. It was not even close on Mirage.
No, no.
It
The score
wasn't. The
is not the
scoreboard
truth.
is
Yeah.
lying there because they had full control over that game. Like it, if you just look at the rounds, like I was watching the game and just look at the rounds that Spirit won versus the rounds Vitality won.
Yeah.
Vitality had 4, 3, 5 alive every single time. And every single round Spirit won, they had one alive. They had two alive, and
Fighting
they
for
could
everything.
never build anything. So it was even more dominant than like a 13-6 or 13-5 because every single round, even you look at the dust too. Like Donk gets 4 kills on Deagle
Oh,
going up short,
yeah.
and they lose that round gathering up AWP and rifle when two guys coming short. Like unbelievable! It's unbelievable they lose that round. It's like I
I'd
just
be
felt
so
like this is
tilted if I'm
GG.
Donk. Yeah.
It's GG. Like if you get 4 kills on eco and you can't even win this round, Shiro's posted on short with an AWP. Like what are you supposed to do? I could just see in like the defeat in their eyes when they lost that round because that was an insane entry. Don't just dunk, and they have an opening A site, they have full weaponry, and they lose that round. I
Mhm. Mhm.
can't believe it. I thought after that I was like, this is GG. Like what are you supposed to do?
On map one is already GG. Do you know, I expected them to be able to reset, but the crazy thing is like Dust 2 was like 10 maps in a row that Spirit had won. Obviously, the interesting thing here in this matchup, which a lot of people maybe not thought about, is these teams don't face off against each other. In 2024, they played 3 games or 3 series, sorry.
But
So it's
I
not like
I
a matchup they play against each other often, despite being at the top of CS. They've always
so
managed to miss each other.
yeah, and if we talk about the game also, what Vitality did good, like if you look at the actual game, especially
Mhm.
like early Dust Tour, early in the rounds, you could see how much emphasis they had on using utility on Donk or hurting Donk, making sure Donk is low. Because I swear it's like 6, 7, 8 rounds in a row on Dust 2
Yeah.
when they're on that T side. Donk is like 25 HP before even seeing anyone. He goes lower, he gets double naded, he has 30
Yep.
HP, and he's still the playmaker going in first when they're doing these B splits or B rounds or trying to take and cover that mid. But he's screwed, you know?
Yeah,
He's
he's
absolutely
already
screwed.
wounded.
Yeah. And so they don't get their gameplay or like game going because Donk is already like putting himself in exposed positions, but he could literally die to another nade.
Yeah. And it's good you point out just the utility, because my follow up to that as well is it wasn't just the utility. If Donk was able to take a fight, right, if they understood what was going on, I rarely saw a Vitality player on his own. Yeah.
Yeah,
So, like, even if Donk wins the first fight, he's quickly cleaned up. Now, what he was always good at is he'd isolate one fight into a second fight, but he kind of had a time to reset. He had no time to reset. Like, they were constantly fighting him together. They were not allowing him 1v1, 1v1, 1v1.
yeah. And I'm 100% sure they took Donk on the demo, checked his timings, where does he go,
Mhm.
what kind of movements does he show, and they just used all the nades they could to deny his HP. And from there on, what can you do? Like they don't really have anyone else making sure they get space spirit. And this is
Yeah.
something that they probably need to change because other people are going to try and catch up on it. What
Yep.
worked well against them? Okay, they're neutralizing Donk with utility. He's not as dangerous going up because you have to hit a body shot while Donk has to hit multiple headshots. All of a sudden, they don't have those playmakers anymore in the same capacity in Spirit because they have a pretty passive team
Mhm.
behind Donk, where they're good on finding rotations or listening rotations, taking space that way slowly. But if they lose that kind of focal point that Donk is providing them, not only with kills but with creating this incredible pressure,
Yeah.
uh, they seem to fall flat.
And you know what, right? We're looking at Vitality. We're talking about obviously Ropz and Zywoo. I will give a big shout out in this grand final to Apex. He finishes with a 1.37 rating. Yeah.
Yeah,
As the IGL, calling a great game and playing the best final he's ever played as an IGL. That's
yeah.
insane. To be able to call
No.
like that and to frag out as well, he was fighting. I will say this, I tweeted it at the same time. He changed mouse before this tournament.
Oh, really?
He might have changed mouse at Blast Bounty, but I'll be honest, I didn't see when I obviously they played one game and got eliminated, so I didn't see what mouse he was using. But I messaged him on Instagram. I said, "You changed mouse at Katowice." Yeah, this is when I DM'd him, and he's like, "Yeah, I wanted to try something new." So he moved
That's
over. He's using
always a
the
risk.
Vaxi.
Always a risk.
He's using the Vaxi E1. Let me just yeah.
We all remember the Falcons drama.
Oh yeah, but that's them being them. Um, yeah, so he used to use a Zowie EC1, and now he's using the blue Vaxi E1.
Okay, is it similar or?
Similar shape, definitely similar shape, but this 4K wireless technology, slight difference in how the shaping's done on it. But yeah, he's moved over to there, and then he just plays phenomenal. Not going to say anything because he maybe plays shit next tournament, but it's just something I noticed. I'm always on mouse watch. I'm always looking what mousepad players are using. See
Yeah,
what the
I'm
new
even
tech is out
going
there.
into the site here, checking out the product. It's very similar.
Yes, exactly. Some of the people that used to work at Zowie now work at Vaxi, and that's how the company came together.
Okay.
Yeah. Coming on to the obviously we spoke a lot about Spirit's mistakes, but it was every map, Zyru and Ropz were just taking turns on who was gonna go crazy. So like Dust 2, Ropz, 2.18 rating, Nuke, Zyru, 2.38 rating. Mirage, Ropz didn't have a great showing, but other than that, like, dude, they were just tag teaming the whole
But
grand
Ropz was
final.
so good on Nuke. Like it's unbelievable because he was the lobby player. He's the lobby player, right?
Yeah,
On
yeah.
on on Nuke, and he's taking the space. He's like wall banging a lot early on, in Hut, and all of a sudden he just pushes out, kills one in A, and just goes all the way back. And you can see Spirit while Vitality. They're encroaching yard. They're taking heaven. They're taking lower,
Yeah.
holding pushes. They wanna search for ops. You can see how much like they're
They're like,
lobby
where's
crunching. They're
where's he
clearing
gone?
shoppers lobby. They have one guy holding heaven. They get so spread thin on their defense because of
Yeah.
this like one move Rops does, and they want to punish him, but they can't find him. They just can't find him.
He's like a little rat. He goes, I got the first kill. See ya. And just runs
Yeah,
away.
but it becomes this like kind of thing where they have lobby, but that's not going to defend your yard. He's
No.
covering if they go silo, and they can't help each other. Spirit,
They're all
and
out of position.
I thought he played it so good, and it's so annoying to play against because you want to deal with something, you know.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, he was close hut. He shot one dead. All of a sudden, we can't just let A go because he might sneak back in there. So they want to secure some areas of that kind of A split, but they just couldn't. They couldn't, and it just gave them so much room to overwhelm the yard area and get. It's almost they were like Cetus at one point defending A. Like they had more space, and they were just stuck under heaven and stuff like that. Spirit. So yeah, really really well executed the T side from Vitality. It felt super dominant,
No, I really
and
did. And
one
Mirage, you said
couldn't
it was very
find.
cosmetic, right? You just it may have been
Yeah,
13-11, but that was it. It was a string of rounds on the CT side to fight back. What was it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rounds.
yeah, and I'm pretty sure it was the same here. Like in terms of winning and losing rounds, like they were one alive or uh, can't see that on an HLTV page, I think. But either way, a lot more dominant from Vitality. I mean, you can check it's a 13-11 game, but Vitality have plus 12 kills and Spirit has minus 12 kills.
Yeah.
Uh, and I just think Vitality every time they won a round, it felt like they had money control after, and every time Spirit won a round, they were one alive, essentially. So
What What do you
uh,
think this means now for like because obviously everyone's getting very hyped about this vitality, and I would be too when you've got a Zyru and Ropz on the same team. Do you feel like this is a team now? Because obviously this is the very beginning. The more time they have together, they're like this is where we can actually see them be one
I
of
think
those
they,
teams right at the
I
top.
think, I think they can overtake Spirits this year. I genuinely believe that. I think they have a lot of good like assets. I think Rops is
It just
getting more and more
works.
comfortable. No, I think that they get that like superstar player in a different position
Yeah,
because it's not like Spinks is he's really good. He's a superstar in his own right on that kind of positioning, but it just didn't mesh as well.
Hmm.
And I think now that
Especially with the positions on CT side that Ropz takes, right?
yeah,
That's the difference.
I feel like everything just blends together really, really nicely. I think Flames is gonna get more comfortable because I still see
Yeah.
him as like such a skilled player. He can play, he can do anything, you know, in Counter Strike. I think he's incredibly like almost underrated in some
I
sense.
think so.
Um,
Everyone
so
was always talking about Zyru and Spinks first. Now they're going to be talking about Zyru and Ropz. But yeah, this year and the position changes he's had, he's going to be right up there.
yeah, I think he just needs a little bit more time to get comfortable. He seems so level-headed, nice. You know, I've met him in a few events. He always says to me that I should start an ASMR channel.
Why?
He- the first time I met him, like RMR, I think in Copenhagen for Paris, right?
Yeah.
And just we started talking to each other, and after like 1 minute, he's like, "Dude, you should start a ASMR channel. I will invest. I will invest." I don't know. He
Oh
likes
my
my
god.
voice, I guess.
Well, hopefully he'll be listening to the podcast. But no, we need to get him on
Yeah.
we need to get him on as a guest. That'd be a
Oh,
hilarious guest to
he's a
have.
funny guy, man. And
Yeah.
no, but it just feels like they have the right tools
Hmm.
to actually dominate. Because I think also with how they approached certain games
Yeah.
here, they're still like under construction, but I think they're just gonna grow and become better and better throughout the year. So
Yeah.
they approached it with a really clear game plan. They eliminated what was good with Spirit. I don't necessarily even think that Spirit did something bad. I think
Hmm.
actually it was more about Vitality doing something good, making sure it was difficult. And I think it's a hard team to kind of shut down Spirit in
Yeah.
some sense. So they really did their homework and did a lot of good prep for this game. So I'm really impressed by them.
Definitely. Me too. Me too. What we're gonna do now, though, 'cause we touched on Katowice. It was an
Yeah.
awesome event. Last thing I want to touch on is Zontix giving away his silver medal.
Короче, он просто выходит, они приехали на автобусе, мы их ждем под отелем. Они выходят и в отеле, и буквально через 5 минут выходит Зонтикс, я думаю, он идет фоткаться. Он просто снимает медаль, блядь, и так вот, блядь, протягивает нахуй. Кому, блядь. Я первую руку протянул, и тут сразу, блядь.
Because I want to get your opinion. I tweeted my opinion. I have no problem with this. Like, for me, I look at like fantastic, incredible players like Messi, like Ronaldo in football, like LeBron, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan. These people want the very best, right? And they want to be winners. I'm not saying Zontix is right up there just now, but people freaked out about him giving away his silver medal to a fan. Simple's taken his silver medal off before when he didn't want it. Simple's been unhappy when he got an MVP and they still came second just because he was so dominant. He didn't think he deserved it. Giving away your second place medal to me is a sign of he's unhappy. It was not good enough. They should have done better. I want to be a winner. He'll keep the trophies. He'll keep the gold medals, but he's not interested in the silver. And also, if I'm that fan, amazing. Also, Zontix, if you want to
Yeah.
give me a medal, I'll have it here on my display. I'll take your silver medal any day, mate. I've got no other way of getting one myself. Like, I don't see a big problem with this, but I wanted to just find out what you thought. Like, do you see it as disrespectful?
No, I don't see it as disrespectful at all. I mean, I have it's a weird one because the silver medal. I have one when we lost to NIP in the final at the major they won.
Mhm.
Where it's just a reminder that we should have won in a weird way.
Okay.
So
So use as motivation.
well, yeah, but I it's like I just remember losing when I look at that silver medal. It's not gay. Like it's nice to have.
Yeah.
It's I think it's more impressive for other people than yourself in some weird way.
Yeah,
Like
like
yeah,
for
it's a
me, I'm
silver
looking at
medal.
it like I'm
Fuck,
like,
man.
dude, that's amazing. I'd never have a chance that. You though, you have major trophies by your name, so it's a bit different. And I guess the same for him.
Yeah. So, but I appreciate the gold medal a lot more.
Yeah. Do you display your stuff?
Display? No, I don't have. I have it. I mean, I could go get it. I think I have it.
Go.
All right, 1 sec.
Let's have show and tell time. Look at this.
I have the. This is the silver one, ESL 1 Cologne.
Back before they were IEMs.
Yeah, and then you have a Katowice.
Oof.
Gold.
Oof. Look at that.
So yeah, these are the ones I have. These are from coaching. But we were nice. They were nice enough to send me a medal as well.
Yeah, coaches, by the way, should fully deserve the same thing. I do like what ESL do with that. I also said this to Valve that I think all majors should have medals, first, second, and third medals. I think that's important for majors because of how important majors are. Some teams will only ever make maybe even a top 3 placing once in their entire careers, you know.
But I look at this and I just see an NIP gold medal.
Yeah, you look at it, you think, damn it, they got gold. We did not. I am not happy with this.
But I don't see it as disrespect at all. Like, I don't think it's disrespect towards the tournament. I think it's just, either you look at it that he has a great mentality, he only wants the best, and that's what he cherishes, or you can look at it. I mean, he's obviously mad and he's disappointed. He's in a very foul mood, because you don't exit this tournament and then 20 minutes later go like, yeah, we lost. Like,
on
that's
to the
not
next
what
one.
happened. Yeah. Well, we have another chance in a week to win something. No, that's not really what happens. You get into a very depressive state, even if you're second. Like, you're like, I should have done better there or there or there. Like, you go into this like hyper analytical criticizing mode of yourself. So I completely understand why he's done it. So yeah, I don't see it as disrespect. I think it's just outlet for his emotions. Like, fuck this.
Good. I'm glad you look at it like that. That's nice. We're on the same boat with it. Okay, on our next things, I'm gonna skip a bit of our VRS conversation because of the timing, and I'm gonna save it for the next show when we're back from Cluj. I think that's gonna be better because we'll have more time. I want to give this the proper time it needs. So what I want to come on to as our next point for the podcast is why organizations are forcing players to skip key events, because this came up a lot during Katowice, and basically the community seemed confused on why this is happening and what's going on. So I'm just going to read this quote from the HLTV interview Twistz, and he says about skipping Cluj that's coming up, because we're gonna touch on our Cluj preview after this. I wish I could say skipping was the team's decision. I'm always ready to play every event. Points matter a lot. I know experience matters a lot. So the more I can play and call under this lineup, the better. It does suck not being able to play Cluj. It is what it is. We'll make the best out of it. It just means we have to make a deeper run at IEM Katowice. Now, this is interesting because obviously Valve ranking, Valve points is so important. Yeah. This VRS system, which we will touch on in the next episode, I promise, because we need to fully understand this. HLTV confirmed they've covered it. They gave us a lot of detail. It's kind of crazy that HLTV also seem to be like the masterminds of what information Valve gets. We'll get into all of that. But there are teams, there's no partner leagues anymore. There's no partner agreements. But organizations are now coming together and saying, we won't attend these events because of these conditions. Now, it's not like the bad conditions, but for example, let's look right now at Katowice 2025. Vitality won $400,000 first place, yeah? Plus, through the incentives, the club share is $60,000 to the Vitality organization. That's kind of in public. Everyone knows it. Blast Bounty, I think, had something like this as well. Let me take a look. So they're all doing this because they were the old partner league ones we had in there. Okay, we can't see the split, but the split, I believe, is available.
And by the way, the revenue does not get into the VRS points.
No, that 60K is not included. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not like
which
a
is really
prize
good.
pool which impacts the points,
The
right?
rankings. No, exactly. But what it is PGL, and I'm going to bring up Silviu's tweet. He's the CEO. PGL is still like a family company, as far as I understand it, right? I'll make sure I'm not talking out of turn. But like PGL is a grassroots company. It started in like 2000. Yeah, I was 10 years old. They've been running these things and doing stuff. However, they've been doing it their way. And obviously, when the partner leagues came around, they disappeared and then they only did the majors. Sylvia's tweet here says, I want to clarify how the 1.25 million USD funding for each PGL CS2 Tier 1 event is distributed. For the past 7-8 years, Counter-Strike had an unusual structure, one part for teams, another labeled as the regular prize pool, which from my understanding mostly went to the players. I never really understood why it was structured this way. In this industry, unless a prize explicitly states team, club, organization prize, or participation incentive, it's assumed to go to the players. We do things differently. Instead of splitting funds across different categories, everything goes into a single payment to the organization. Teams will receive the full amount based solely on performance within 2 weeks of the event. By the way, they pay me within like a few days of finishing the event. PGL pays the fastest of any organization. It's
Yeah.
so quick. It's actually incredible. So always big shout out to them for that. He then goes on and says, it's up to the organization to decide how they use the money, whether for salaries, team development, recruiting, or operations. PGL is not going to dictate how teams should allocate their earnings. There are no complicated structures, no unnecessary requirements, just a fair system. We do not force organizations to compete in most of our events in order to be rewarded. We focus on delivering top tier events, and we appreciate everyone who enjoys them. I've been playing Counter-Strike since 2000. This game means a lot to me. And ever since PGL was founded, I've always done things my way, the way I believe things would work, by always making the decisions that I thought will push the community forward. Nothing will ever change that. That's fucking incredible, right?
Yep.
But obviously, ESL Blast, they're owned by big companies, investors, all these other things. So everyone's going to have their own different ways of how they do it. Excuse me. PGL obviously have their way of doing it. But what he's talking about is there are incentives going to the teams, the organizations, sorry, should I say, organizations, whether it's club share or incentivized to come. So you can only skip still 2 events of ESL if you want to have your club incentives. So you need to say you're going to all these events, right? And what you'll accept, but you still have to be invited by the VRS. So if you're invited to one, you shouldn't decline it if you want to make your points. That's how I've understood it. Now, PGL doesn't do that. But what that does seem to have done, what I've heard, and this is hearing this from players, Twist's obviously been open in his interview, so I'm using his example. We can't say about the other people, but like Furia dropped out of the PGL event. It seems like the very top teams, so I'm talking like G2, Spirit, Vitality, Na'Vi, Liquid, now Furia, and it all seems like they've grouped together to try and see if there can be some now. We'll try and get PGL to make a club incentive. I don't know if they've contacted PGL. I don't know if they've said anything. But I'm just speculating from what I've heard from players. Because, like, I know Imma from Na'Vi. He put it on his Instagram story in Romanian. He wanted to go, but obviously they would have been on the road for so long. It's too many events. Yeah, cool. I can understand that. But for Na'Vi, they're not worried about losing points. Yeah, they're in a good position.
Yeah.
If Liquid did badly at Katowice, say they didn't make it to stage 2, and then they skip Cluj, they might have not maybe missed the major, but been so far down that it's kind of scary. That would have been
Yeah,
wild.
they are in a risky point. Because teams, if they do well, especially because a lot of the top teams here or organizations have declined the Cluj. It's gonna drop the level of the tournament a slightly bit because not enough like top teams are attending, and you don't get enough points by beating like very high tier opponents. So there's some weight there that kind of gets dropped. But they do have this incredibly big prize money into the tournament, especially because they're not doing this like organization incentives, which honestly I think that's fair. I don't mind that at all. I think if I just understand this a little bit correctly, it's kind of like a, I don't know, like a mutiny organizations.
It's like an organization club, by the way, of like, we were the old partner teams, yeah?
Yeah, and they're still
ESL and Blast
communicating
don't.
with each other and kind
Yeah,
of.
but ESL and Blast don't have to pay out these same way, yeah? They've got their structure of how they've done it, but they now have to invite off the VRS, so this agreements have gone. But now the organizations are like, well, wait a second, we're paying these players a lot of money for some teams, right? How are we now making money? And by the way, for the organizations, you agreed to pay these players this money. Good luck getting that lower, or however you want to try and negotiate it. But this is the hole you put yourself in. And then say you force your players not to go to certain events, even if they wanted to. To me, it sounds like Twistz wants to go to Cluj, but he has been told he cannot go. Now it's fine because you didn't get stung by the VRS points this time. But like, if they want to attend and they're ready to attend, you should not be stopping them as an organization. Unless it's like, unless they try and come out with some bullshit, which I don't think is true, that they need a mental break. But I know how hungry Twistz is. And if he's saying he wants to go, I'm sure the rest of them want to go as well. Like, I can't imagine they don't want to go compete at this $1.25 million tournament.
No, I
where
think
they would be a
for
favorite to win.
For sure they won't. But it kind of reminds me of Trump putting tariffs on all the countries around America, you know? It's the consumer that kind of gets, the American consumer that kind of has to pay for it. And in this case, the players of the organization have to pay for it. And it's unfortunate because I think if you look at it from like Counter-Strike as a space, it's blessed with PGL coming in. It's blessed with them kind of wanting to do more tournaments, and I understand the organizations also wants to find a way to secure income in some way. But I feel like this is kind of like a strong arming game, which is bad for the scene.
Yes, yes. Because
So
it's devalued Cluj in some aspects because of the teams not attending, right? It does give some more opportunity to teams that would have not been going there, right? So say all the big teams accept the invites, yeah? We would not see Saw or Imperial Valkyries or maybe even Complexity there because this is only a 16-team event, yeah?
but it's
So,
also like new players coming into the space, right? New tournament organizers. Are they gonna hear the stories PGL went through with getting kind of strong armed by organizations? They don't want to enter the space because there's some mafia shit going on over here. No, but you know how it sounds. It looks like this. I don't know exactly how it is, but it looks like this, and it's bad.
There's nothing bad with revenue sharing, like with what Blast and what ESL are doing with this revenue share, this club share, whatever the hell you want to call it. I get it from an organization point, but like,
I get it too, but
PGL's paying it through the prize money, right? So let's just look. Let me just go down. Minimum you get for attending PGL is 12,500 if you come last place. First place 400k, second place 187. It's third and fourth, so third gets 150. There's a third place decider as well, but I love that. I love that we're not just doing like a top four. I love the fact we're having a third place decider. That's fucking good. We're finally back to that. But it's crazy because what I think teams or organizations, sorry, should I say, have realized is in a contract, you probably know, you know this better than I. In a contract, the prize money is still more for the players.
Yeah.
So what is it like? Normally 20% max, maybe to the org.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been more standardized to even have like a 85-90% cut to the players nowadays.
Wow. See?
So it is significantly towards the players. And I think probably in some sense the incentivization or the revenue share have probably changed that to go more towards the player in the contracts. But I also feel like there's other ways to do this because it's like open and like from PGL's perspective it's really open. And why can't they just like, I don't know how complicated this is, but it seems to me easy from my perspective to just be like, okay, we have a PGL clause where to make sure that we get the revenue as an organization.
So like
can we have a
take more
PGL based clause for prize money so that
That's
it
really
becomes
smart.
more fair? You know,
I didn't
like
think about that. Yeah.
It feels like a simple thing because either the player can't even play the tournament,
Yep.
or they just like they would agree to it. I'm 100% sure that players would just be like, yeah, okay, that's fair, you know, like
Yeah.
at least we can play our Counter-Strike tournaments, right? You know, instead of kind of like, this is not our problem, this is your problem, PGL.
Yep.
But PGL is giving you the option to do that, but I just don't know. I don't know why that isn't possible.
And you know, I know like a lot of fans will think maybe that like organizations have unlimited money and stuff, but a lot of orgs, they have sponsors, but some are propped up by investor money or VC money, yeah, venture capital money that's come in, and they said like, yeah, we're going to put this money in here and we want to see a return. Why you see organizations die off is because like obviously we see big names like Navi's been around for ages, FaZe has been around for ages, Fnatic, you know, NIP, but like if they didn't have a betting sponsor, for example, which a lot of people try to shit on having betting sponsors, then some of these organizations would fold. They will not exist as of tomorrow when they don't have that betting sponsor. That's why like the revenue sharing was so important for an organization. But now they've also got these high salaries of the players that the organizations have agreed to, and then they've lost their revenue share. They have to make a course correction and an adjustment. They have to,
and everyone has to.
Yeah,
everyone has to. The players as well. We can look at the the NIP situation, Snappy, and all of that. But with less open qualifiers, less or like routes to get to big events, everyone's making adjustments at this point. But I don't think fighting amongst ourselves is kind of the right way to do things. Because I think that might hurt the scene more than we are willing to, end up with in the end of it.
But I feel like Silvio and PGL are smart enough and know how to do it that they will, like, I don't think they'll back down and say, we're going to do a club share. I don't think that's going to happen. I think he will stick to his guns. And by the way, I have no information on this, just to make it clear. It's not like I've spoken to him about it. I'm not even turned up at the event yet, but it's like, I personally believe he will stick to his guns because of what he's tweeting. He will say, this is the way I'm doing it. I will not be bullied by these teams saying they're not going to go, because I guarantee you at some point in the future,
they're going to need them.
They're going to have to go there. Some team's going to fuck up, right? Or have a roster change and do badly. And then they're going to be like, PGL's invited me. Got to accept that. And then, so this little group they have now only works when you're on top. But as soon as you slip down, you're going to have to go, wait a second, guys. I need these points. I need to attend whichever PGL event it is. And also, so Spirit's not going Cluj.
You don't want to meet the Silvio in a alley. He's a big guy. He's scary, man.
He's bigger than me.
I have so much respect, like automatically when I see him.
Right,
he's such a boss.
Someone's going to clip this and I'm sending this to him. But for real, right? If you're an organization right now and you're like Spirit, I don't actually think Spirit is an org that will bend to what the other organizations, because Spirit was not even in partner leagues, if you remember. They came up through their own success. So, for example, there's Astana, Kazakhstan. Spirit, if Spirit skipped that, come back to me and slap me, because that's going to be a Russian-speaking audience, almost like home turf. There's no way they skip that. But they're skipping Cluj probably because Spirit skipped fucking big events like Rio when they were on top, because they wanted the break time. They didn't want to do so many big events anyway. And because they were not in the partner leagues, they had that opportunity. So I don't think for Spirit it matters so much, even though they're one of the teams I listed within like that top 10 bunch. I just think there's some organizations here that are going to regret what they are doing now. And I also think Valve will not be happy long term if teams are doing this, trying to force some sort of thing, because Valve didn't want the partner leagues.
No, but it's like the second coming of partner leagues in some sense. Like we're just following the rules.
In the shadows. Like, let me get my fucking hood on. I'm gonna be like, here I am, Valve. I'm just gonna fucking.
We are not partner league.
Nothing's happening. We're not a partner league, but we still have all the power and control. Like some fucking insane shit. I'd love for more players to be able to talk about it, but obviously these people pay their bills. Fair play to Twistz for actually coming out and saying it, because he's a competitor.
He said it in a good way, like he didn't disrespect the organization in a way, He just said like, I would love to play it, like.
Yep. And do you know what's great? The players are not the ones driving this, It's the
Yeah.
organization's driving this, so the players are not in the wrong here. But I agree with you. This course correction might come in the way of like salaries have to change a bit because money doesn't grow on trees. You need to work for your money. The system has changed. The VRS ranking is important. And people like I promise you guys, we're going to come on the next episode with a full VRS thing because we've been listening to the other podcasts. I've been talking to people. I've been trying to understand more. I'd love to do it on this one, but we're already nearly at 2 hours and we haven't even touched on Cluj just yet. But it's like, I want to give you guys the full thoughts because Devilwalk was not in the partner leagues. He was never part of that system, but you have very strong opinions on it. And VRS is a bit of a fucking mess right now. Valve are not doing the greatest of jobs, but I still believe this is better than what we had. It's just there's so much we're going to have to go through a few more of these interesting conversations and these painful fights publicly and not publicly before we see exactly how it goes down. I need to drink some water.
So we're going straight into the Cluj.
Yes, let's go into Cluj.
Okay, can I even spell Cluj?
CLUG.
I could not spell it.
Cluj, by the way, I'll just say this. Mongols last year were one of the highest earning teams, of any other team. Because they won some like, what did they win? Let's have a look. Let's go to Mazzinio's profile. I'm just going to go down the events they won, So like they won Thunder Pick. That was how much prize money? 500k. And they won Yalla, which was 500k. Yeah. So they won $1 million off events that would be good on the VRS ranking for prize money. Oh, no, it wasn't $1 million. So that's 200k. They won 200k there. 200. I tell a lie. I jumped the gun. I thought Yalla was $1 million as well. So they won 500k and then 200k. Yeah.
Still not bad.
Came still very good. Then they got top 8 at a major. You know, they did second at Sky Esports Championships. Like they were going to some of these smaller events and cleaning up.
Yeah, they were doing the grind. And I mean, so far away from home.
Oh, they won that Mesa tournament as well in their home country. Where was it? Let's have a look. Oh, that was just 50k. That's okay, 50k. But still, the money they picked up was pretty good. It was pretty good for the Mongols. And they're a team right now. They are the highest seeded team that accepted at Cluj. Let's go through this team list, right? Mongols, FaZe, Eternal Fire, Falcons, Maus. That's the only teams in the top 10 that accepted. 1, 2, 3.
Well, they're the highest ranked teams right now, but accepted would be Eternal Fire.
No, Mongols would have been ahead of Eternal Fire.
You sure about that?
Mongols were third for a long time.
Oh yes, I'm looking at the HLTV. Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, it's all right. This is where it's even confusing.
Because the HLTV is on left, and then you have the VRS.
Yeah, I click global VRS.
Yeah. No, you're right.
But yeah, so Mongols were by far the highest. Mongols were always the highest. But like, look at this. In terms of teams here, there's a lot of lower down teams, but there's still some notable names in there. If you're the Mongols, FaZe, or Eternal Fire, and you could be looking at 400k at the end of this tournament, because they're the ones I think you have the best chance of winning. Those three names are the ones I expect to do well. Like, legitimately, that is such a good opportunity for you guys. 2 of those teams, Mongols and Eternal Fire, are already in Katowice playoffs as well.
Yeah, and I mean it's one of these things because you have a lot of teams like you can look at MIBR, 3D Max, Pain, Falcons, Astralis, Big, Wildcard. Like these teams, they could actually, with a good placing here, if we touch on that liquid conversation again, they could actually catapult themselves into a better position than liquid, and probably even a couple of them could catapult themselves ahead of them. So there's a lot on the line here, depending on who actually makes the deep runs. It could change the ranking significantly after this.
Yeah, and also, by the way, there's another thing here that Game Legion skipped Cluj, but that wasn't because of this whole thing. Game Legion's not part of that conversation. Game Legion skipped it because they were having such bad practice before Katowice. They needed more time to boot camp and practice in their mind. That's the only reason.
Uh,
So they are not part of that conversation we were having before.
yeah.
So for them, Cluj would actually be really good for them considering how well they played, but they needed to prioritize other things. So I think for them, we'll see them at Pro League, if I'm right.
And I mean, right now they're probably in a position they probably would play it now if they got another shot at deciding that. But
Yeah.
when they get the invite to attend it, they declined because they didn't feel ready, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And Game Legion only have to make top 8 at the first Pro League to go through to the next stage as well. So like, this should be very comfortable for them to be ready for that.
Yeah.
So let's look at it then in detail. Let's see. We got our opening games. Should we make some predictions on this and go down it?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, I'm going to make a note of this now. Okay, so we've got Mouse versus Big. Then we've got 3D. Remember, this is Swiss, by the way. Are you happy to see Swiss in a format like this? I love the fact that we're getting Swiss here.
I like Swiss. I have no problem with Swiss.
Swiss best of 3 as well, bro, not best of 1.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think Swiss best of 1 or like that semi. If you go out, you get a best of 3. Can kind of shoot you in the foot in some way.
Yeah.
Like it feels a bit unfair sometimes, but either way, I think best of 3 Swiss, great. A lot of Counter Strike, and yeah, I think it's a great way to do it. Because then I think that the kind of taking over seed makes a lot more sense.
And then we've got, what is it? So top 8 go through. Yeah, top 8 go through to the playoffs. So we get a good 8, not 16 playoff, which would like, that's my only things I don't like about Katowice and Cologne is it's a 16 playoff. I'd love if it was an 18
I don't
playoff.
like the go straight to semis.
Yeah, not a fan of that. And I think that also some teams, they don't benefit from doing that, you know?
No, I think you get one less kind of day in the arena.
Yep.
So you don't get to kind of feel the crowd, and it could be a shock going into a semi. And there's been plenty of like, showings where the underdog team kind of just gets warmed up, more match form, gets the win, and kind of just snowballs into the semi. But
do we?
Yeah.
Let me see. Do you remember we used to get that website, the major matchup simulator? I would love if these guys did Cluj for that. Like, give me that format for Cluj. They don't. It's not here.
Yeah, okay.
Whoever makes that website, please, please kindly give us that.
Should we go through the games?
Yeah, let's go
predictions.
For it.
Okay.
So first
Big
one,
and
Mouse
Mouse.
Big. Oh,
I say big.
You say big.
Yep.
Oh, we don't know what we're gonna get from this Mouse.
No,
they could
but
just
that's
hit this
why
ground running
big.
with Spinks. Oh,
I say big.
In a best of 3, Broland brand new leading, Spinks just coming into the team, but they've been on that boot camp. Did I get held by that? And I just believe in this Mouse opportunity to show us something different here. I'm still against Mouse for like removing Shuhei. I think that was terrible. All right, I'll join you. I'll join you. We'll do big. Yeah, we'll do big. 3D Max VP. To check, I think that Flamus should be back, right?
Surely 3D Max did a roster change, didn't they?
Yes, Body's going to be there. Yeah, Body's going to be there. So
I'll probably say VP here.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Okay, both VP.
Face.
Both. Yeah, look how quickly that was.
Falcons, FlyQuest.
Ooh.
I think FlyQuest is not a bad team. I actually think they are quite good. I think you look at them, just look at the name and everything, and automatically think they're worse than they are in some weird way. But I think they're actually quite I think they're quite decent. I think they could definitely push Falcons close.
I reckon they'll take a map, but I don't think they'll take the series.
No, I think Falcons will win, but I wouldn't be surprised if Falcons struggle a little bit.
Mongols complexity, I'm still giving that to Mongols.
Mongols.
Yeah, look at that. Easy.
Wildcard MIBR, I'm saying wildcard.
Oh, okay. Wait a second, did they play each other recently? Let's have a look.
I think they.
No, they've not played. They've not
Okay.
played at all. By the way,
I'm
if
saying
you go
wildcard.
onto HLTV now and you look at this, you get a VRS like point plus. And so because they're so close with each
Oh,
other,
where
yeah,
do you get this?
go down to where the head-to-head is. There's now a VRS forecast.
Like you go on the match page, you
Yeah,
scroll
match
down.
page, MIBR versus wildcard. You see head-to-head, and then you see VRS forecast underneath that before the comment section. And so
Head. Oh, here, yeah.
if MIBR wins, it's like
Wow.
plus 54 points. But if wildcard win, plus 69 points. If MIBR loses,
see.
they go down to 17th.
Yeah, they lose a lot of points.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. That's actually really nice. It makes it a little bit easier to follow.
Yes. How much this
and-
is affecting things. And
Yeah.
this is going to be what everyone's talking about as well on the desk and stuff, especially some of the bigger games and how
Yeah.
that could work. All right, so you're going to go for a wild card.
Yes.
Oof. All right, I'm gonna go MIBR wild card. You
Pain
Astralis. Didn't they? Why do I feel like they faced off? Yeah, they did at Katowice. Astralis won last time.
I'm taking Pain this one.
You going Pain?
Yeah, I'm all inning on Pain.
We went to this last time. They didn't even make it.
Yeah, I
through
know,
the
but
play-in.
now maybe they learned something.
Oh, I'm gonna go Astralis. I'm gonna play it safe.
Okay, I'm taking Eternal Fire.
Eternal Fire for the Imperial Valkyries. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Right, so we have two different ones.
That's it. That's all we got. That's all our
right.
matches. Yeah. So we had both. Yeah,
Yeah,
two
this
different
is
ones.
the
Only
moment you
on
kind of
MIBR
want,
wildcard.
exactly like you said. Like if all of these are correct, what matchups do we get next?
Yeah, I'd like to see what's the next ones.
Yeah.
We need a simulator. All right, let's look at though who you think will make playoffs.
Yep.
So let's write this down then. Playoffs.
So it's half the teams, right?
Yeah, 8 teams. I think Mongols, FaZe, EF, Falcons, VP, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Big. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 2 more. Astralis. I don't think Mal's going to make playoffs somehow.
Maybe a wild card can make it.
You think so?
Yeah, I have hope. They're so close, man. They're so close. I have to believe in the wild card.
So Mongols, FaZe, Eternal Fire, Falcons, VP, Big, Astralis, and Wildcard.
Yeah, I'm gonna look. I don't think like if you look at how many teams are not gonna make it. I don't think Imperial will make it. I don't think Soul will make it. I don't think Complexity is gonna make it. FlyQuest probably not make
MIBR.
it.
I don't think so.
They're gonna be on the edge there. Maybe making, maybe not, but probably not. And
Freedom X made the roster change, so no.
Yeah, and then
Mal's not ready for it yet. They just need to.
Wildcard could make it. Wildcard could make it.
I think between a Wildcard and a Mal's, there's chance there.
I'm hoping for it. Two Swedes there.
Of course. I said 2 Swedes. Oh yeah, Adam and Sus. Do you know what? I always not Adam and Sus. They're the brothers. Fuzi. I always forget they have Swedes there. I just look at it and I just think American roster, but yeah, they've actually only got 2 Americans, 1 American, 1 Canadian.
Yeah, and then on South African,
honorary American. He studied in America or Canada or something like that, I think.
Yeah.
Interesting. Let's see how we go on this one. It's going to be, I think Cluj is going to be fun because it's not going to be as clear where the victory will be.
No, but it's also going to impact kind of the rest of the year in a weird way, depending on who makes it. Because then we're gonna go back to that conversation. Did some organizations just shoot themselves in the foot by not attending this? And probably gonna bring some underdog into a pretty high ranking. We're gonna get to continue to see them in big events through VRS rankings. So I think it's a really interesting tournament because it's gonna shape kind of the landscape of 2025 going forward.
Yeah, it could be a big shift in this as well. Like for say a team, let's have a look down there. Let's say a Virtus Pro at the moment who already gained quite a lot more points than people expected from Kato does well here again. That's going to obviously boost them up there, but it's going to be less points because of the teams they would have beaten to do it.
Yeah, but I also think there's like some stories that could happen, like maybe Falcons kind of they get a little bit easier tournament than all these big tournaments. Maybe they can find their footing a little bit more, gain some confidence. Like there's this part of it as well where it's never easy making a full roster change and heading into a tier one tournament against the best teams. You're gonna look a little bit bad at points and maybe get over criticized in some
Yeah.
sense. Where now they can kind of okay, we're practicing on a little bit of a lower level. Can kind of see what's going on, maybe find some stability, and move into the next tournament with some momentum instead of always, we did shit last tournament, or we didn't get up
Yeah.
to our expectations, whatever it is.
It's some very good official practice, I think, as well.
Yeah.
Like, and do you know what's interesting? When we were talking about the organizations that would not like skip events, FaZe obviously, I think, is very much player choice. Like, I don't
Yeah.
think anyone in FaZe Clan is saying you can't go here. We need this organization money or something like that. I think it's very much Carrigan, Neo, I guess, maybe Eddie the manager. They want to go, they get to
FaZe
go.
as an org isn't just dudes.
It's not.
It's just dudes, man.
Yeah, it's actually just the like because the banks he bought back into it, right? I don't think it's owned by any. I don't know the structure, but I think it's now just backed with the original owners.
Yeah.
There's no men in suits owning it, so that's probably a really good thing for them. Like FaZe as well with Elise, they want to get more experience. I think the
Yeah.
fact that Vitality's only map they lost in the whole tournament, by the way, was to FaZe, and so even though FaZe missed out on playoffs, FaZe are still very good. They beat Big, they beat G2, they took a map of Vitality.
Like FaZe is
Obviously,
dangerous. They just
yeah.
need like a little bit more from each player, and they can make deep tournament runs. Like it's very, very small, I feel like.
What do you think of Rain's position changes, though? He's played the same positions forever, for as long back in his career as I can remember, and now he's learning some new things. He told me when we were sat on the couches at Katowice, like, it's kind of fun for him. He's actually happy.
Yeah, I
He's
mean,
liking the change.
I think Rain is the type of player that can do anything you ask of him. So I
Yeah.
don't think that he will struggle necessarily that much. I think he knows what's good and what's not. In general, in most positions, he's a smart, very stable kind of player. So I think it can work out. But as anything, we look at Flames or whatever, they're gonna need some time to adjust. But I think Rain can definitely be a good anchor.
Definitely. You know, one thing on Rain, a lot of people are always saying, like, he should be the next to be kicked from FaZe again and again and again and again. They keep saying this. I just want him to make 10 years minimum on FaZe. He's so close. I think it's
I
only
think he
him and
will.
Crims, right? Actually, Crims just doesn't really count, though, because Crims left for a bit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he went to
has
Godsend, so he fucked
He has
himself.
more years. I mean,
More years technically on overall years, yeah.
Yeah.
He left for like literally 2 months to Godsend.
Yeah. It was that. Well, was it? Yeah, he left to Godsend, and then they tried to remake Fnatic again, right? In
Yeah.
Fnatic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That strange timeline we lived in back in 2016.
Yeah, that was a crazy move.
Damn. Well, I'm getting ready for Cluj. I'm going to disappear and start driving to Romania. We will be doing another episode when Cluj ends. So we'll finish Cluj. I'll come back home.
We're healthy.
Mate, if you are not healthy by then, especially considering you're not going out anywhere and meeting people, something's seriously wrong. Go to a doctor. Get yourself fixed up. Have you been to a doctor?
No.
You fucking idiot. Why have you not gone to a doctor?
I don't take pills either.
I'm disappointed.
I'm
Don't
not
do
like
what Devilwalks
I
doing.
don't take pills, but if I don't have to, I will never take a pill.
You're just prolonging your recovery.
No, I'm making sure that my body can defend itself and future generations can use medicine without a reduced efficiency.
Future generations. Have you got kids yet?
No, but they're
Well,
coming.
there you Oh!
No. It's not an announcement of that.
Clip it. There you go. Breaking news. The only reason people are going to come watch a podcast is this update on Devilwalks finally having a child.
No. It's not,
On that
not
note-
happening anytime soon, but I want kids. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. That's good. You'd make a good dad.
Thank
Apart
you.
from this not taking medicine thing.
But they can take medicine. I'm just making
Just
sure
you
they
being stubborn
can.
and difficult. I get it. All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching again. This has been all about Counter-Strike Podcast with Devilwalks and Banks. Episode 3 is done. Hope you've enjoyed it. We'll see you on the next one. Enjoy Cluj-Napoca. Bye-bye. Well, we said goodbye. To lie to you all, we're not actually going anywhere. I almost forgot. I apologize for that. We have to answer our questions and answers from Discord. Remember, at the end of every episode, without fail, even if I close the show, we're coming back to do the questions and answers. So, Skorga comes through with a question for this episode. No one else. Send your questions, guys. You don't want to talk to us? You don't want us to answer questions?
We'll answer anything.
Anything, yeah. Even if they're about Devilwalks when he's going to have babies. But we asked that ourselves. Yeah, even that. Everything is open to be asked. So, any idea why Valve is taking so long to announce the December 2025 CS2 major? The last 3 majors have been announced 12 months in advance, Austin and Shanghai, and 11 months, Copenhagen. We are now less than 9 months away with no confirmation on where the 25 major will be, although Budapest rumors, of course. By the way, I love how Skorga is so accurate on this. Like, 11 months and 9 months and 12 months. Like, he's got everything. He's got all the months.
It's a great question.
It's a very good question.
Personally, I don't have any insight on that. My only kind of guesstimate. No, but I don't. But I think that it has to be because of kind of how the VRS system is shaping up. If they're gonna make adjustments to that, they want to see what's going on. Is it working for this major, or is there any complications gonna come up with the VRS invites and everything? So that's my kind of only thing, because they are very data driven. So that's my guess. Essentially,
I'm just gonna say, I am almost 100% confident from the rumors that it's going to be Budapest. I think Valve have just been so busy with this other stuff and all the VRS things, which is why they haven't announced it. I don't think that we're in any worries that there's not going to be a major or something like that.
No, absolutely not.
It is bad though, considering like they definitely must know. The rumors are out there. Maybe they just think that, okay, the rumors are out there, we can just not announce it. Like, they're just having fun. They're like, people
Everybody
know this already.
knows.
Yeah, everyone knows already, so fuck our announcement. But like, yeah, it would be pretty hype if they did do it, you know? Maybe they're going to wait till the next major to announce it. I know they were talking for a long time about saying, we're going to be transparent, we're going to tell you in advance. Well, it's gone down the drain as everything else has changed. So, Skorga, not too much of a good answer for you there on why. We're just speculating ourselves. But I would love it to be in Budapest. I'm down for to go to Budapest. It'll be fun. It's a cool country.
Budapest is sick, man.
I've been there once for an event. I can't remember what the name of the event was. V4 Festival. I went for V4 Festival.
V4 Festival.
Yeah. When I was still hosting. That was awesome. It was good fun. You're looking at that event, aren't you? Trying to see what it was.
I am. I'm trying to figure out. You remember that epic announcer? That wasn't in Budapest, right?
Yeah.
Put your cans in the air. I was trying to look. Is that the event? I'm not sure. Where was this
V4
event?
Festival? Wait a sec. Let's look. Put your cans in the air. Esports. Counterpit.
Counterpit. Yes.
Where was it? I'm watching it now.
It's such a good clip, man.
Ladies and gentlemen,
for the thousands in attendance, I'm pretty sure there was not 1,000 people in this arena.
And the millions around the
world. Are you ready?
This the best. It's so good, my side.
Ready?
This is war.
Let's start. Okay, make some noise and put your
It's
cans
such
in
a
the
good
air
clip.
for their opponents on the other side ladies and gentlemen.
We'll have to include the clip of
Put
that.
your cans in the air is what I fucking love.
It's so good, man.
Let's go and let the best
dear. Where was this? What was it? So
win.
counter
Next
pick.
you
race, it will be
I like how the end of this is just going to be us
we are going
beaming
to
about this.
war.
Where was it? Where
Real
was
bloody
counterfeit?
war here on this stage. Are you
Probably
ready
in
for
Saxony.
this?
I don't know, honestly.
Gamer fans.
It doesn't say. It just says Europe.
Are you
No, I need to know.
Europe.
Just Europe. Wait a sec. Where did this event take place? We have to find out now. I can't give up on this.
Was it in Croatia? The Pick League Season 2 finals. Yeah, Croatia, I think.
Croatia.
Lit.
Awesome. Not Budapest. So after all that, nothing to do with what we were saying at all. But Skorga, Valve should hopefully announce things earlier and get this all done. It would be nice. We think Cologne's going to be the 2026 summer one. So that's already also announced. So maybe they won't announce it anymore. Maybe we'll just be forever in this loop where the rumors beat it out. And that's where we have.
They'll announce it after the tournament.
After it's happened. Oh, guys, did you enjoy our Cologne Budapest matches?
Did you miss? We had tournament in Budapest?
We really need them to not do that because we need Valve to post about it so that it gets more viewers from the casual community as well. All right.
True.
Now we're done. See you on episode 4. Bye.
Bye-bye.